Do you know where the only remaining Edwardian-era passenger steamliner is? If you said Kingston, you're right. The Great Lakes Museum acquired the SS Keewatin in 2023 and opened it up to the public in May of last year. Built in Scotland in 1907, it operated on Lake Superior for over 60 years. To put that in perspective, the Titanic sailed and sank in 1912. The Keewatin is still above water, and tours are now open for the second season. To tell us about this ship is Bep Schippers, Executive Director of the Great Lakes Museum. Welcome to your TV, Bep.
Thank you.
Okay, well, can we start with the ship's history?
Sure. So the ship, as you said, was built in 1907 in Scotland. She was brought over shortly the next year and started her CP Rail life just the next year.
How is CP Rail part of this ship's history?
So she was part of the CP Rail system. She was part of the trains. So because there weren't roads that actually went from Port McNicoll, where she started her service, up to Thunder Bay, there were no roads, there were no trains at the time in the early 1900s, so they took the ship. So CP Rail owned the ship, outfitted her, and she was part of the CP Rail system.
Okay, and how did it end up in Kingston?
After she was deserviced in 1967, she actually went to Michigan and was part of a museum there, owned by a family that kept her for a number of years. Eventually, Port McNicoll acquired her. There was a very amazing group of volunteers, they're called Friends of the Keewatin. They acquired her, and she was a museum there for quite a number of years until we received her in 2023.
Okay, and the tour started last year.
Yes.
So, and you've got a number of options as far as visiting the ship.
Yes, this year we added an extra tour, the Essentials tour. It's 45 minutes long. The original tour was an hour and 15, and we've decided to add another shorter tour for people that had a little bit less time, and also it's suitable for families.
Because there's actually a family pass, I guess.
Yes.
So, which includes a couple adults, a couple children.
Yes, we're trying to encourage families.
Makes the visit more affordable.
Exactly.
Somebody going on the tour, what will they see?
Well, starting walking up the gangplank, they get the passenger experience. They get the experience as though they were a passenger themselves. They walk up the gangplank. They will start off their experience at the purser's office as though they were handing over their luggage ticket. And then they get shown upstairs to the area where passengers will socialize. And eventually they make their way to where the cabins are, and they get to see where their cabins look.
So it was quite an experience for the passengers at that time because it was a multi-day trip.
Yes, it was a lot of fun, I imagine, about a 2 or 3 day trip depending on the weather. Families would be able to spend time on the upper deck. At the moment, we aren't able to get up there, but we eventually hope to be able to allow visitors to see upstairs.
How many passengers would sail on this ship?
Including staff, we'd probably be just over 300 people.
300, and it would just go back and forth from those two ports?
Yep, Port McNicoll to Thunder Bay.
Taking people onwards to maybe take the train, is that
That's
right?
right, yeah. Especially there were no roads, as I said, so people would often bring their cars onto the Keewatin, right onto the cargo deck, so that they could bring their cars to Thunder Bay and continue on their way west.
The Keewatin is part of the Great Lakes Museum.
Yes.
And the museum is part of the tour. If you book a tour of the ship, you get to see the museum. What's in the museum?
Maritime history of Kingston and the Great Lakes. Our museum is housed in a National Historic Site, so it's the Kingston Dry Dock and the Pump House. So you get a tour of the actual pump house and the associated rooms that went along with the shipbuilding that went with the dock.
And the museum is a not-for-profit
That's correct.
entity supported by donors and grants?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. And the grants are from?
Federal, provincial, locals. We also have foundations that support us. Lots of individual donors as well. And thankfully, volunteers. So I'd be remiss in not mentioning the hundreds of volunteers and the tens of thousands of hours that they've put in, because that's not dollar donation, but it's energy and time donation. We could not be where we are now without them.
And you've got 3 different tours that people can see. There's the premium tour, a little bit shorter essentials experience, and then you've got one that's strictly for people interested in the engines and boiler room.
Yes, the engine room is great for those who are interested in how things work. We also find that a lot of people will book the passenger premium and the engine room together to get like a really fulsome experience with the ship.
Okay, well, sounds like a great way to spend several hours learning about the museum and ships and the Keewatin. Thanks so much for coming in. It's been really interesting speaking with you, and yeah, I guess I'll have to look into booking a tour.
We'd love to have you. Come anytime.
All right, thank you so much.